What's up, everyone? So how does a song go viral, like really viral, with no TikTok, no YouTube, not even an internet connection? Today, we're firing up the time machine and heading back to the 1940s. We're going to check out the story of Glenn Miller in the swing era to see how music could totally take over a whole generation's culture.
But first, think about this for a sec. Have you ever asked your grandparents what they listened to when they were your age? You know, what was that one song that made them and all their friends just drop everything and hit the dance floor? Well, there's a pretty good chance it was part of a sound that completely owned the entire country.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We're in the 1930s and 40s. Times were really tough for a lot of people because of the Great Depression. So pretty much everyone was looking for an escape, anything at all to feel good about, and just forget their troubles for a while.
And that escape? It came in the form of swing music. And let me tell you, this wasn't some niche genre. This was the pop music of the day. It was high energy, it was fun, and it was basically designed for one thing, to get people dancing. It just had this irresistible beat and these super smooth melodies you couldn't get out of your head.
Now, the scale of this new music was a total level up. Before swing, jazz groups were pretty small, right? Maybe 3 to 5 musicians, kind of like a solo streamer just vibing and improvising. But the big bands from the swing era, whoa. That was like a full-on pro esports team, a massive, perfectly coordinated squad.
Yeah, you heard that right. Up to 20 musicians all on one stage. We're talking a whole line of trumpets, a squad of trombones, a section of saxophones, all held together by the rhythm section. It was this huge wall of sound, and every single player was totally locked in.
And this is where our main character, Glenn Miller, enters the game. And just like your favorite creator, he didn't just blow up overnight. Nope, he had to put in the time and do the grind. This was his origin story.
He started out just playing trombone in other people's bands, learning the ropes. But then, in the mid-1930s, he got really serious about music arranging. He was basically learning the code, figuring out the secret to making all those instruments sound amazing together. By 1938, he'd totally leveled up. He was ready to be the boss.
Miller's goal wasn't just to lead another good band. He wanted to create a brand. He wanted a signature sound so unique, so iconic, that you could be listening to the radio, hear just a couple of notes, and know instantly, oh yeah, that's Glenn Miller.
And his whole mission was actually super simple. He wasn't trying to make super complicated, artsy music that only a few people would get. Nah, he wanted to make hits for everybody, something fun, catchy, and just easy to enjoy.
So what was the secret formula? Okay, let's break it down. Step 1, he gave the main melody to a clarinet, which gave it this really clear, high voice that stood out. Step 2, he had all the saxophones play harmonies right underneath the clarinet, which created this incredibly warm and smooth sound. And then, step 3, bam! The brass section, the trumpets and trombones, would punch in with all this power and excitement.
The result was just genius. It was a sound you could recognize in a second. It was super smooth, and everything was just perfectly balanced. He literally designed the perfect pop sound for his generation. And with that killer formula locked in, Glenn Miller's music didn't just get popular. It exploded. It went viral, 1940s style.
These were his bangers. We're talking In the Mood, Moonlight Serenade, Chattanooga Choo Choo. These were the biggest songs of the time. If they came out today, they would be all over your For You page, guaranteed.
So how did everybody hear these songs? Radio. You really have to think of the radio back then as the original live streaming platform. Glenn Miller's band would perform live, and millions of people all over the country could tune in at the exact same time from their homes.
And just look at the difference in reach. A live show is cool, you might get a few thousand people. But a radio broadcast, you were reaching millions of listeners at once. It was a total game changer, and it was the key to becoming a megastar.
Now, you did not sit still when this music was playing. It sparked a massive dance craze all over America. People were learning these wild, energetic dances like the Lindy Hop and the Jitterbug. These are basically the original TikTok dance challenges, and everyone wanted to learn the moves. His music became so important to the country that during World War II, he actually joined the Army Air Forces to form a military band. His job was literally to travel around and play for the soldiers to boost their morale. That's how powerful and essential his sound had become.
So here's the big takeaway. The crucial point is this. Glenn Miller wasn't just some guy playing an instrument. He was an innovator, a sound designer. He carefully engineered a perfect sound that was so popular, it ended up defining an entire generation.
Which leads to one final question. Every generation has its soundtrack, its anthems. Glenn Miller created his. So what about you? What sound, what artist, or what song do you think is going to define your generation?